One of Oklahoma's most notorious murder mysteries could go from cold case to case closed.
In the foggy early morning hours of June 13, 1977, the bodies of 3 young girls were discovered near a tent they had been sleeping in the night before at Camp Scott in Locust Grove, Oklahoma.
They called me from headquarters early that morning and told me that the scouts up here had found a dead girl. And when I got here, to my surprise, there was to the one that was 3, and it was a homicide.
The gruesome sight has fueled decades of mystery and conspiracy as inconclusive DNA tests have shrouded the case in mystery.
Some of the items were not preserved the way they should have been, and so a lot of the items were too degraded to actually get any DNA testing.
Before Camp Scott became tied up in the tragic murders of the Girl Scouts, it was open for nearly 50 years. The camp had a different name when it first opened in the summer of 1928 as Camp Medelco. It wasn't until a few years later that it became known as Camp Scott. The 240-acre campground was a host to many different outdoor activities and held numerous events and festivals. Thousands of girls camped there, reaching over 4,500 attendees in 1957 alone. The property was owned by Tulsa-based Magic Empire Girl Scout Council. On June 12, 1977, hundreds of girls were dropped off by their parents for what was supposed to be several days of fun and activities. Sadly, the 3 campers in tent number 7 within the Kiowa camp, Lori Lee Farmer, Doris Denise Milner, and Michelle Gousset, were brutally murdered and sexually assaulted.
There was blood on the mattresses of the first 2 cots, of the 2 cots on the left, and there was blood on the floor of the tent.
The 8, 10, and 9-year-old, respectively, were found the following morning. News of the murders spread quickly, and Camp Scott transformed into a massive crime scene, with local police and FBI scattered throughout the multi-hundred-acre property. While no one could have predicted these despicable killings, there were signs of an imminent threat lurking just 2 months before. In April of 1977, camp aide Michelle Hoffman found her and her campmate's tent ransacked and a recently emptied box of donuts that she had brought from home scattered among the crumbs in the empty box. She found a few pieces of small notebook paper with the words "kill" repeatedly written all over them. Written on another page was something even more concerning. "We're on a mission to kill 3 girls." A concerned Hoffman turned the note into the camp director, and after some investigation, it turned out that a group of girls supposedly confessed to the incident. The note was assumed to be a prank, and the matter was left to be just another summer camp ghost story. But were the notes a coincidence, or was it an actual warning?
Basically, it was the boogeyman story.
No suspect was immediately identified, and the only evidence as to who could have committed these heinous acts of senseless violence at the time was a fingerprint on the lens of a red flashlight and a footprint from a 9.5 shoe size found in the blood of the tent. There was speculation that an escaped convict, Jean Leroy Hart, may have been involved. Hart served 7 years of 2 10-year sentences in Mays County Jail for the kidnapping and sexual assault of 2 pregnant women and escaped in 1973. Speculation of his involvement in the murders spread like wildfire after it was revealed that his childhood home had been just a few miles away from the Camp Scott site. June 13, 1977 was the last day that Camp Scott was open after nearly 50 years of hosting Girl Scouts. It closed its doors and never reopened. Word to other camps all across the state, such as Camp Red Rock, spread quickly and security was increased at all other locations. However, Girl Scouts from Camp Scott were sheltered from the news and given a fake scavenger hunt to keep them away from the crime scene while the buses arrived to coordinate the transportation of all the girls back to Tulsa for their parents to pick them up. The Magic Empire Council, owner of Camp Scott at the time, came under immediate fire for contacting their insurance provider and attorney before notifying the parents of the deceased of what happened to their children. Because of this decision, many parents who were watching the news had no way of knowing if their children were harmed. making this tragedy even more painful for everyone involved. By the end of June 1977, Hart was charged with first-degree murder. He was found and arrested 10 months later on April 6, 1978.
At 4:15 p.m. this afternoon, agents of the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation arrested Gene Leroy Hart at a rural residence in the Cookson Hills in southern Adair County.
As of 2022, police feel confident that Hart cannot be excluded from DNA tested at the crime scene and that he is guilty on all accounts. For the time being, the case has gone as far as it can go. Although now the property is private, to this day, the grounds of Camp Scott contain the remnants of a once thriving camp where aspiring scouts would go to have fun, participate in various outdoor activities, and make friendships that would last a lifetime. What happened at the nearly 100-year-old campsite in Locust Grove will go down in history as one of the most disturbing murder cases in Oklahoma, and Camp Scott will remain an empty solitude swallowed by the shadows of trees and tragedy.